Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, we might have our good old Snowmageddon 2.0. They, they're predicting some pretty cold weather. Last time when this happened for me, I was living in Corpus Christi, and the weather there, it's going to get below freezing. They're predicting some snow. But now I live 9 hours further north in East Texas, and starting Friday night, I think the low Friday night is like 20. And then the lows don't get above freezing for the next week. A couple of the highs get slightly above freezing. Like I think one day says 34, one day says 35. This whole thing's gonna peak Sunday night at 7. Then Monday night, I think they said 10. Saturday night's supposed to be 12 or 13. And I get it. There's people in the north. Um, it gets colder up there. Uh, they get more snow, all this kind of stuff. uh, the same way that coastal Texas is more prepared for hurricanes than Chicago is, kind of like what this winter weather is, for us versus them. So much so, my grandma told me, hey, go out to the tree farm, get even more wood. Um, we haven't burned a lot this year. But I'm finding that I'm getting smaller and smaller stuff so that it's easier for the others in my household to, start the fires. It's not just getting, big old, chunks of red oak or anything like that. But I bring this up because if you didn't know this, which, to be honest, I didn't completely know this. Like, I knew that swimming in a swimming pool, you can get hypothermia for just prolonged exposure. Technically, anything less than 98.1 or 98.6, you can develop, hypothermia. But it starts to become deadly below 60 degrees of prolonged exposure. That doesn't factor in wind or moisture. The biggest and easiest thing is having shelter, because even, it's going to get down to 7. Let's say the power goes out, the house is at, we keep ours at about 68 most of the time. It is going to cool off. It's going to cool off somewhat rapidly, but it's never truly going to hit 7 degrees inside the shelter of the house. I think it's especially important, my grandmother, she falls into the, elderly category. My handicapped cousin, my 2-year-old baby. All of those people are more susceptible to the weather, to it being colder. I talked about layers the other day and why those are going to be important. If your sleeping bags are dirty, I'd go ahead and pull those out. If they stay in a shed or a garage, go ahead and bring those inside. Depending on when this winter storm is going to hit you, I would sacrifice the $3 or $4. Go ahead and crank your thermostat up 5, 6, 10 degrees warmer in the situation that you lose power. our heat comes from gas. So even when the last Snowmageddon happened, you know, my grandparents still had heat. I think their power went out for 5 or 6 hours, then it came back. I'm just thinking of when our electricity came from the wind turbines and it got cold enough that those shut down, and how we went almost a week without power and all of our heat came from a fireplace. So that's our supplemental heat. We're cranking the stuff up higher because my grandma doesn't want our 4 cats and our dog in her house. And we've got the fireplace in case I need to light a fire there. She's gotten her space heaters out, and Friday morning she plans on just, she's gonna turn her house into a sauna. That's what paying attention to the news and the weather gets you, is we can make it slightly uncomfortable for a little bit of time, to where if things go bad, we're able to, stay comfortable for a longer period of time. The wood definitely helps. Getting blankets and sleeping bags and all this other stuff out helps. We've pre-made a few meals that just require warming up. And, like my grandma, she asked me about books that I read that I told my cousin to read. And she went out and got those. Downloading the 2-year-old's Mickey Mouse in case the internet goes out. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm getting some gas for the generator just in case we need it. It's chilly just thinking about it. Today's in the 40s. There's a lot of prep work that a lot of people can do that doesn't cost a whole ton of money, that this can be your last second, go ahead and get that stuff to make stuff more comfortable. I cut down several trees this summer, and I just haven't chopped them up because we didn't really need it and I didn't have time. I could have, at least bucked them and put them in our fire rack. That way I don't have to drive out to the farm and get them. So definitely something that I'm planning on this coming summer is I'll go through the whole process of actually getting the wood here. That way I'm not making the 20-minute drive there and back right before the last second. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be a cold one. The last time it happened, we lost power, but we had a different energy source. So I'm hoping this time goes much better, and I'm glad, even though I live 9 hours further north, I'm on a different heat source. So I'll take that all day, every day. And, I think even without the electricity or the fireplace, we could make it through this because of, you buy sleeping bags once or twice, and, as long as you take care of them, wash them when they're dirty, keep them put up in a bin so your cats can't tear them up, they're going to last darn near forever. So let me know if you live in the affected area and what you're doing. If you've got any questions, send them my way. I might be able to answer it for you. Might turn it into a video. Subscribe to the channel. That helps out. Share it with your friends and family. And I think I'll catch you on the next one.